Hello and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be talking about the Vitality palette from Unearthly Cosmetics as well as some of their multi-chrome liquid eyeliners, and these were all sent to me in PR, so thank you so much to Unearthly Cosmetics for sending these over to me so I could try them out for a video for you. So here's what the Vitality palette looks like. Very colorful, super fun, nice mixture of some mattes and some shimmers as well. They're kind of signature, beautiful, shiny, sparkly, smooth, metallic shadows. I mean, the possibilities with this palette are endless. I love that there's some darker shades, some lighter shades, pastel shades as well. So let's talk about the liquid multi-chrome liners. These are a little bit different from some of the other multi-chrome liners that you might have seen coming out around this time. These are a little bit more almost like a flaky formula, and they do have a bristle brush applicator. You can see here it's pretty long. So I'm going to be creating 3 looks with the palette and the liner so you can see everything in action, get a good feel for the textures and the formula. So let's get right into it. Going into Zeal, right onto the inner crease. This shade definitely swatched a little bit drier, and it is applying a little bit sheer. And then next to that, I'm going to go in with Vibrancy. And I'm just going to pack it on first and then start blending it out. Also very, very pastel, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but outer corner, I'm taking Thriving. And this is just going to deepen it up a bit. And then I'm going to take Vibrancy into the edge to further blend it out. And I'm just going to go back in with a tiny bit more of Thriving to smoke it out a little. And just tapping it on. And then on the lid, I'm going to go in with Verve. The moment I swatched this, I knew I wanted to use it. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It's very green, but it has an interesting base to it. It's almost like a purpley base. So I thought it'd be really interesting to actually pair in with this look, just going in with a little bit more. I'm going to use the multi-chrome liner in Treasure. And I'm just going to use it to add a little bit of oomph. And I'm going to do like a graphic liner with them for another look, but for this look I'm just going to use them to kind of add a line on the top of my lash line, and I'll also extend it to the lower lash line. I'm going to go in with a tiny bit of Live and just pop that out here to kind of deepen this up a little further and help kind of blend it in that liner. To finish off this eye, I'm actually going to bring the liner underneath. Oh, that is super vibrant. I love how that looks. And then I'm going to just bring in a little bit of that dark green, but really just the tiniest. The shade Thriving just here a little bit. Just going to blend it in there. Oh no, it's kind of transferring because I have the lines there. Using my pinky, I'm going to use Energy as my inner corner highlight just to pop it right in there. That is such a beautiful shade. I think it pairs really nicely. It looks actually very similar to Verve. Do you see how they look very similar now that they're next to each other? Here's the first finished look. Taking Elation, and I'm going to pop that right into the crease. I'm going to do a predominantly purple look. I think I'm going to bring some pink into it, but it will be predominantly purple. And the shade, again, super, super light. It is a pastel, but it is also just kind of giving me a wash of color, taking a little bit of building up. And then I'm going to take Vigor on the outer corner. And I'm going to take it just a little bit into my crease as well. And then I'm going to also take a little bit of Vibe right in there to deepen it up. And then I'm going to use Animation to blend out the edge of this. Sorry, I was probably out of frame because I slouch a lot, and even this long after filming YouTube videos, I just still do it all the time. I'm just gonna go back in with a little bit more. So it's kind of like a pop of pink on the outer portion. And going back in with vigor again and just blending it even further into it. Just kind of essentially also mixing the two shades and deepening it up at the same time. I think I'm going to extend the pink just a little bit further up here. I like how that came out. I could even go in with Feeling, which is a pastel yellow, and just take it on the edges of that. And that actually came out really nice. I think I'm going to go back in just with a little bit more vigor. I do want to extend it outwards just a little bit more. I'm going to go in with Richness, and it's such a beautiful pink blue duochrome. Definitely think this one's not coming off as shiny as I thought, so maybe next time using a glitter primer. And then the liner I'm gonna use is the shade Searing. I believe this is the one I wanted to use. I wanted to use one that's a little bit more, actually, this one might be a little bit more purpley, so I'm gonna go in with Imperial, and I'm gonna do a wing. But first I'm gonna take it all over the lid, close to my lash line. I'm not really used to doing this on camera, so it's definitely very interesting. But this is coming on super nice. And I'm going to do quite a big of a wing here. And I think I'm going to have to go in with a second layer after this dries down a bit. So I'm going to go back in with a little bit more. And you could put these over a black liner if you wanted to really just amp these up, but I think that they work fine without it. Just maybe need 2 layers, especially on this one. I feel like the green one is a little bit more opaque. Taking Vibe, and I'm putting it underneath the lower lash line to finish this look. And then should I use the pink in there? Kind of thinking of doing that, and I'm going to take Animation onto the inner portion. Here's the second finished look. For the last look, I'm going to do a super simple look, just using one matte shadow, one shimmer shadow, and one of the liners. So I'm going in with Delight, and I'm just going to pack that on all over the lid, and then just blend it out into slightly a wing shape out here like I usually do. And I did prime with the Beauty Bay eyeshadow primer, just trying to kind of rotate in between my different primers. So currently using that one, and I'm just gonna blending it out. And then I'm gonna take some NYX glitter primer and put that all over the lid, just tapping on a very, very small amount. And then picking up Bounce and putting that all over the lid, up into my crease a little bit. It's gonna end up there anyway. I'm going to be using the shade Gem to do a graphic liner on top of that. So I'm just going to start off. This is going to be really hard. I'm used to not doing eyeliner on camera, like I said. But just taking this along my lash line and then winging it out. And I want to make sure that it is even. I'm not going to take it out as far at first so that I can just kind of lay it down first, and I'm getting it on my lashes, unfortunately, but I can just wipe it off. So I'm just filling in this area. I do feel like this brush, it's okay, but it's not the best because you can kind of see it kind of clumps on it because the texture of this liner, it's not like a smooth liner. And then just really filling it in And I do feel like 2 layers will probably be the best. So now I'm going to start to bring it out a little bit further. And I'm going to start taking it up. So I want to reflect what's going on here. So on the other side, so I'm going to go here and just kind of try to mimic. I feel like this is not going to be the most even. I definitely feel like it needs to go out a little bit more. Like this. To create this curve, and obviously you're going to need to do this based on how your eye shape is. I do want it a little bit thicker here, just to match the other side. And then just taking more here, and I'm gonna let that dry. And then I'm gonna go in with another layer. So while that's drying, I'm gonna take this underneath my lower lash line, just a little bit, like right along my lash line. And worst case scenario, you can just kind of true them up after you've done the second one. I really didn't want to take it this far in, but here we are. I think that's a little bit closer in. And then I just want to fill in this one area here because at certain angles it looks a little patchy, even though when it's reflecting the light it doesn't look like that. Then I'm just going to go over this area. So first I'm going to talk about the Vitality palette. Love the shimmers in here. Definitely some more topper-like shades, which makes it extra fun actually. With all these colorful mattes, you can just really have fun layering them and bringing out like the different shifts in them. Some of the shimmers are a little bit more opaque, and you could see that in the tutorial portion. As for the mattes, I feel like they're a little bit different from like what I know from Unearthly Cosmetics, specifically compared to the Hauntingly Glamorous palette. I just absolutely love the mattes in that palette. And I feel like some of these are a little bit on the thinner side, so they take a little bit of building up, which is not always a huge con because that just means that it's a little bit more beginner friendly because you do have that control. So that's really my only kind of critique of the mattes, is some of them are just a little bit on the thinner side. But overall, I had a great time with this palette. Like I said in the beginning, just so many opportunities of different kind of eyeshadow looks that you could create with this one. So now let's talk about the multi-chrome liquid liners. These are, like I said, a little bit on the flakier side. You could definitely see that in the tutorials. They do take about 2 layers. You could definitely put down like a black eyeliner and then layer this over it, and I think that would kind of alleviate the need for a second layer. But I usually don't feel like doing that extra step. Like I'll usually just like to kind of fill in where I do feel like it might be a little bit patchy, but I feel like the patchiness was really only kind of seen like from the side. If I was looking straight on, I could kind of see it like on the outer portions of the wings. I really like how shiny these are. You definitely don't want to layer too many coats of this one because of the formula. I do feel like it would accentuate skin texture at some point. I feel like even on the second coat it might get a little dodgy depending on your eyelids. My biggest kind of con with these is I don't like this kind of applicator. I understand that it's probably kind of the easiest, most signature type of applicator to have, but there's something about it. I feel like it's too long and maybe a little too flimsy, so I feel like it made it just a little bit harder for me to apply these, but that could possibly be just because of my personal preference on how I like to apply eyeliner. So those are my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below if you picked any of the liners up or if you picked up the palette. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, and that's everything for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and definitely check out some of my other videos. I have lots of Unearthly Cosmetics content as well as multi-chrome content operating my channel and much more to come. You don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.